Welcome, welcome. I am back. It is Tuesday, and I am live on a VO's Journey YouTube channel. And I I have this my little case here that I did my little picture because I always go and I do the video first, and then I go into after I'm done. I go back and put the picture up and do everything like that. But anyways. Welcome to a VO's Journey. This channel is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. So I am really excited about today's topic, and it is about voiceover acting and how you can get better at it. And I find that this topic in itself is such a wide range of things because we as voice actors do so much from just one end of the spectrum to the other. So I wanted to dive into and give you some options, some things that you could work on in order to help you your acting, because I've said it before, but if you think about all things being equal, right? All things being equal, meaning like gear, equipment, even sound, okay, or at least good enough, where there's an average level. Well, what separates you and I? You can say our voices, and that's true. If somebody needs a super deep voice, they're not going to pick someone with a super high pitched voice. But in the end, if you have 10 guys or 10 ladies, and the 10 guys have super deep voices and the 10 ladies have the high pitched voice that they're looking for, how do they differentiate themselves? What separates us? It's our acting. It's knowing what the audience is looking for and then being able to portray that. Okay. So if you are not working on your acting, that's something that you need to really dive into and start challenging yourself to get better. So I wanted to bring up a couple things today, and I have a list up on the side. So if I'm looking over, you know why I'm looking at my list. But there is many different ways to approach acting and, teaching acting and learning. Some people spend their whole lives working on their craft. And as voice actors, that is a journey that we need to always be on. Being able to do multiple things and being able to switch effectively in between them. And that allows us to offer more than we currently do. The more we can do, the better. And the more unique those things are, the better. But I want to kind of approach today's topic of acting from an expressive kind of atmosphere, okay? Like expressiveness. And there are so many different ways to, express feelings and emotions and thoughts. But when we use our voice, we can kind of start to lump these things into various ways to where we can actually physically affect what we're doing. A perfect kind of example of this is when you are trying to sound confident about something, meaning like you are trying to sound like you are an expert. Okay. Maybe you're doing an e-learning project or a documentary, or maybe you're doing a nonfiction audiobook, right? And you're trying to sound like you are, you've taken on the role of the author and you need to sound confident about what you're saying. Well, there is a certain pitch that we end our sentences with that makes us sound like we're confident and we know what we're doing. Just kind of like what I'm doing now as I'm telling you this information that I'm sure about. Now, whether I am right or wrong, that actually doesn't really play into this. It plays into it more about how I feel about what I'm saying. So if I'm saying something to you and I feel like I'm confident about it, like I'm sure about what I'm telling you, then I finish down, like my pitch is down at the end of a sentence. What I notice a lot of people do, new people, this is like the very first thing I try to do, is to get people aware of how you're speaking. Do you finish down? There's that funny thing where millennials always end up with like a question. Everything's a question. I'm not quite sure. Everything ends up as opposed to ending down, or more of a confidence thing. I don't know how exactly true that is, but I do know that when we are trying to be an authority, we end down in pitch. Okay. If we are unsure about something, or we are questioning it, or we leave it as a thought or something kind of, just floating in the air, just like I did there, I ended up because it was a phrase that had an ending or a punchline to it. So because that wasn't the end, I ended it. I ended that phrase in the middle, not down at the bottom. So I know this might sound complicated first, and I don't mean to go too far into that, but I just want you to get an idea of what exactly I'm talking about, and how understanding how you end or say words and parts of words, and the beginning or endings or middle parts of sentences, in just pitch variation, what that does to to your audience when they're listening. Excuse me. All right, just want to say hello to a couple people over here. Wolf Creek Trading and Consulting LLC. There you go. Steve, Sabah, good deal. Got to get the kids out to keep the quiet. So anyways, that was just the intro to the idea of this. And I'm going to give you a couple things, and I want you to work on them. All right. And the first thing I want you to do is understand that this is a journey. It takes time. It's easy to try something, get frustrated because it doesn't sound quite right, or you can't figure it out, and then give up. But I don't want you to give up. I want you to keep trying. So what I want to tell you here is the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a sentence. Okay, it can be any sentence, but at least make sure the sentence has, at least, 7 words to it. Okay, I mean, I guess you could do 5, but 5 to 7, nothing less than that. And what I want you to do is I'm going to give you just a couple of things here, and I want you to work on them. And I'm going to just start off with two simple, expressive terms, which those terms are going to be louder and softer. Okay. So we take louder and we take softer. And I want you to take the sentence, whatever sentence you come up with, or whatever sentence you get, and I want you to record saying that sentence louder. And then I want you to record saying it softer. And I want them to be such a significant difference that anyone can tell the difference. All right. So if I come and I'm going to say, it's going to back up. So make sure you back up when you say it louder. But if I'm talking louder, I'm going to back up like this so you can hear me. And when you get that loudness, you get kind of excited. Right. Now I'm going to try to do it softer. So if I do it softer, what you find is that it definitely gives a different feeling to what I'm doing. Right. More of a closeness and intimate nature. Okay, so I did 2 loud and soft, and I want you to do the same. Now, I use different sentences because I was narrating it with you, but I want you to see right away the difference in the emotion or the expressiveness or the message that I'm actually portraying to you through being loud and then being soft through the words. Because remember, not only do we speak words and meaning they mean something, but they also mean more than what the words mean, right? We know that. Just like, for example, if I say, I love you, or, like, I love you, or I love you, or I love you, right? I mean, those I love yous mean completely different things by the way I say them. Okay, right? One is like kind of stupid funny. One is maybe real. Another one is sarcastic. We can say the same words over and over and over again in different ways. So for us, in learning to be more expressive, it's important that we practice that. So the first terms, of course, I want you to work on louder, and I want you to work on softer. Those 2 things will actually take you a really far. Something too that's really cool about being softer. I think a lot of times voiceover actors really try too hard, or we're too loud, as opposed to us just talking normal, because we think that, again, for whatever reason, and we all do it. I do it too. It's included. It's that stage syndrome. We get up there and we're on stage now. We're in front of a mic, and I must be expressive, instead of just talking normally. You might notice it. Like, you might be talking to someone, and then you go to voiceover something like, now I'm voicing something, and this is how I talk, right? We change because we think we have to overperform, as opposed to just talking normally. Like, that's not enough. Like, they're paying us for something. Okay. So this is a good way, though, for you to start actually being able to classify what you're doing. Okay. So I'm just going to give you 4 today. I gave you 2, which is louder, softer. The other thing I want you to work on is higher and lower. So, excuse me. So we're talking about pitch now. So I want you to work on like talking a little bit higher in your voice. All right. Where we get up here, maybe a little closer to the roof, a little more forward in your voice. Okay. So you can kind of feel it tingle sometimes where we're moving it forward. And then I want you to imagine that you're going to try to hit the back of your voice, the back of your throat, like you're trying to reach something in the back. All right. And as you do that, it drops your voice, get a little quieter, but you're going to picture trying to hit the back bottom of your, the back of your throat. Okay. So anyways, those are 2 different types of styles. We can go higher and lower in pitch. We can also go louder and softer in volume. Play with those, right? Go louder and lower. Go louder and higher, go softer and lower, go softer and higher, go higher in one, or go louder in one part of the sentence, go softer in the next part of the sentence, higher, lower, et cetera, et cetera. Combine and go back and forth and work on it. Right? You definitely will begin to see different ways of expression. And you'll also see that when you record it, and I suggest you always record these so that you can listen back to them yourselves and get a better idea of what it's sounding like. You'll begin to hear things that you never considered before, like the meanings will change or the feelings will change. Okay, there's more than this, but I just wanted to start off with those 4. So we've got louder, softer, your high, that's volume, and then pitch, higher and lower. Okay, so try those separately, try them together, try and mix, and then mix them and record. Okay. All right. Well, this is a good way for you to start practicing varying your expression, becoming aware of your expression, and actually becoming aware of how to tailor what you're trying to say. If you're at that place where you can do some things, but you couldn't exactly dissect it for someone if they asked you, I want to get you to a place where you can dissect it. Okay. And you can actually do it if you work on these things and begin to practice them on a regular basis. All right. So with that being said, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, go ahead and post them over here in the chat. I'd love to hear what you have to say, or if you have any thoughts around that. This is definitely one of those things, if you've never done before, it can be kind of like, I sound stupid, or wow, I never knew I could sound that way. One of the coolest things is actually when you go softer, right? When you actually go softer, it turns like you aren't aware of how you actually sound. It sounds pretty cool. But most of us, we think we got to be louder. A lot of times voice actors are like 70-80% of their stage projection voice when they're narrating, as opposed to just talking actually a little bit quieter, like you're speaking in someone's ear or you're talking across the dinner table. Unless you might be one of those families who yell at the dinner table, like my family. It's like a circus at dinner time. Okay, which is fine, but you want to practice going louder and softer, higher and lower. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's see. We have I already said Sabah. Oh my goodness. Ayato. I don't. That's right. You spelled it out the other day and I don't remember, so I apologize. Jeremy, good stuff. Thank you. All right, Ayato said, how do you do a gravelly voice, low and slow? All right, so now some people are going to naturally have that voice, but think of changing your voice by changing the position of where you target the voice in your mouth. Now, a good way to do this, you'd be like, how do I do that? Well, first, you have to actively think about in your mouth where you want it to go. And then based on that, you try to format your mouth and shape your mouth so your words go through that part. So as I was doing before, if I focus on like the back and the back bottom of my throat, all right, and I focus on like this, you can see that I get this kind of gravelly type of voice, right? Gets it really crazy. And that's me focusing on the back part of my voice, like the back of my throat. All right. Now, if you want something where you said low and slow, all right, if you think about low and slow, I also want you to think of volume, meaning like lower your volume. So if I get down here like this, you can tell that what I'm doing is I'm making it low. Now, my voice is not low, but the proximity to the microphone, I'm resting my voice, letting it rumble through the back part of my throat. A lot of people would say, oh, that's kind of a deep voice. But it's not really that deep. There are people with naturally deeper voices. Okay. But I've learned through manipulating my voice that I can make it feel like it's deeper. Does that make sense? And it is deeper, but at the same time, it's not, some people got, because like if you get down in the back, some people got these low voices. I don't have that low voice. But what I can do is I can add the gravel, I can add positioning in my throat to make my voice sound a certain way. And honestly, a lot of people ask me for that voice I was just doing for you a little bit ago. Okay. They do. A lot of people. Okay, so let's see. Nice. Sabah says, when you're prepping for a lengthy voiceover, especially character work, and if there are multiple characters all at once, do you do any type of maintenance for your throat, or are there any type of prep? So I probably should do a lot more. But if I'm going to do a lengthy thing, then I get water. So like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of like an oddity. I drink Diet Pepsi, coffee. I do all that kind of stuff. But so, other people are. I'm definitely all right. Look, I'm on it. I'm being a little more active. I'm getting more. I'm trying to eat a little better. So that's a good thing. But the point I'm trying to make to you is that I'm not like the water drinker. However, if I'm doing a long audiobook, I have to drink water because then I'll be talking for like 4 or 5 hours a day straight, right? In which case water is really important. All right. Resting your voice is important. So definitely. But that would be how I would take care of my voice. Also, it depends on how good you are at manipulating your voice, meaning like I was just talking about throat placement and everything. If you are a person who maybe not that good at it and you are constantly straining your throat, like, I give you every character you do hurts. See, that doesn't even really hurt. But if I did that a lot, it probably would kill my voice, right? And then I could lose my voice because maybe, that type of style, I'm not breathing correctly or using my voice in a way where I'm not going to lose it because I'm straining my vocal cords. So that's something to think about. Okay. And unfortunately, you can take care of a voice by drinking water. There's, people have taken, there's hot presses. There's different types of hot tea with honey and all these kind of things to stop you from losing your voice. But in the end, you've got to train your voice too. You got to make it stronger. It's like it's a muscle, just like anything else. Good question. Do you like any specialties that you drink or something that put water, help coat? Okay. Well, there's throat coat. You mentioned that. There's a million different things. There's a million different things that you can do. You can find a bunch of them. But honestly, I like hot tea and honey. Honey works really well. Lots of water and prayer. Oh, I want to hear the answer to that. What is your advice for women who want to sound like a man for character work? Okay, great question. So if you're a woman or a man for that matter, and you're trying to sound like the opposite sex, first thing you have to, there's a couple things. I'm going to say that it's a couple step process. First process is you need to know what type of book you're narrating, meaning you need to understand, is this a comedy? Like, is it a farce? Or is it more of a realistic, like mystery, or, something that's not silly? Because if it's silly, okay, then, and it's a farce, then that opens up the door for you as a woman or a man to really give more of a caricature voice for the opposite sex. But most of the books we do are not a farce, and they call for more of a real interpretation. So the best thing that you can actually do is not that much. So, like, if you're a woman and you're trying to narrate a man, you would generally think that what you needed to do was drop your voice and sound like a man, right? But that would rip us out of the idea of the story we're in. And it would make us think about, you kind of sound silly. It doesn't sound right. What would be better to do is when you're narrating and the male part comes up, is change maybe the length of your words, maybe take away a little bit of breath. So if you listen to male and females, right? Males take are a little, their words are somewhat a little more pointed, and sometimes and when a female speaks, the words are a little more breathy. Okay, so, or vice versa. The key here is for you to change something that is not necessarily the pitch. Because I think when you're changing pitch, it sounds kind of silly. But like if I'm narrating a female part, I'd be like, Sarah walked to town. She opened the door and she said, hey guys, it's good to see you. So you notice what I did. I maybe changed the pitch a little bit, but what I did was I made it a little bit softer, maybe a little bit more breathy. All right. And I did not go, hey guys, it's good to see you. Right. That would be just silly and stupid. No woman talks like that. So, it's important when you go to attempt that you actually don't change that much. Maybe just change a little bit of the cadence, but men men and women speak very differently when it comes to cadence and tone. So my suggestion to you is focus on the tone and the cadence, not on the pitch. Hope that makes sense. Cool. Great question. All right. What else do we got? That was a good question, you guys. These are good questions. All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody so much for watching. If you get a chance, please like, share, follow, click the notification button as well. And I just had a new podcast go up today as well. And it was how to make more money with voiceover. So that give you some ideas on how to generate more income than what you currently are. So check that out. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Yeah. And I will see you tomorrow. All right, you guys, take it easy. Bye-bye.